Most people call the Salt Path an inspiring memoir. I call it a brutal indictment of how we treat the invisible people in our society. Raynor Winn and her husband Moth lost everything, their home, their business, their health in 1 week. They were left with nothing but a tent, a map, and a desperate gamble. Walk 630 miles of the southwest coast path with no money, no backup, and no guarantee they would survive. This isn't a feel-good hiking story. This is a scandal, a legal, social, and moral scandal dressed in walking boots. Hi, welcome back to Lily's Lit Tech episode number 11. Guys, we're about to hit 50 subscribers and I'm super happy. Okay, let's go back to the video. Today, I'm telling you why this book will change how you see homelessness' dignity and survival, and why the system that broke them is the real villain. Okay, here's what happened. Raynor and Moth invested in business that went wrong. A legal battle followed, they lost. The British High Court took their home, their savings, their future. They were evicted. Then Moth went to the doctor. He was diagnosed with Corticobasal Degeneration. Is that correct? Or aka CBD. A rare, incurable brain condition. He was given a few years to live. In 1 week, they became homeless and terminally ill. No safety net, no family with a spare room, no government support that actually worked. So they did something that sounds insane. They bought a cheap tent, grabbed a map, and started walking. Not because they wanted to, because they had nowhere else to go. The Southwest Coast Path became their prison, their freedom, and their last chance. Okay, before we get into the walk, hit the like button if you think this system failed Raynor and Moth. It helps get their story to more people. Now, let me paint the picture. They're in their 50s, they have no money, they're sleeping in a tent on cliffs in the rain. They're eating canned food they can't heat, they're washing in streams. And the people they meet, they don't help, they judge. And then one woman asks if they're homeless. When Raynor says yes, the woman looks away. Another one calls them the kind of people who ruin the view. The book isn't subtle about this. The cruelty isn't from the state. It's from ordinary people who see poverty and choose to look away. Here's a quote from Raynor. "We were invisible. You don't realize how much you exist in the eyes of others until they refuse to see you." It's not a hiking memoir. It's a mirror, and what it reflects is ugly. Here's where the book gets uncomfortable, the one thing that made no sense, the thing that critics and doctors still can't explain. Moth walked, and he kept walking. The doctor said his condition would get worse, but it didn't. It stabilized. Then it improved, not cured, not magically healed, but slower, more stable, different. Raynor doesn't claim a miracle. She doesn't say walking saved him, but she admits that something changed in his body when he started moving through the landscape. It wasn't medicine, it was meaning. This is where the readers divide. Some call it hope, some call it unscientific. I call it honest. Because anyone who's ever been lost, like really lost, knows that movement can feel like survival, even if it's just forward. The book doesn't ask you to believe in miracles, it asks you to believe in the will to keep going. And here's the part that made me angry. Not at Raynor and Moth, at us. Like, we read this book and call it inspiring. We say, look how they overcome adversity. Look how they found themselves on the trail. How beautiful. We're missing the point. They didn't walk the coast because they wanted a spiritual journey. They walked because they had nowhere else to go. The system didn't fail them. The system worked exactly as designed. It took everything they had and left them to figure it out. That's not inspiration, that's indictment. Like that we were told we had no rights to be seen, no right to be helped. We had to earn our place back in society by proving we were suffering in a beautiful way. And that's the scandal. We only care about homelessness when it looks like a movie. We only care about poverty when it's poetic. The salt path forces us to sit in that discomfort. So why does this book matter? Because we're living in the age of visible poverty, cost of living, housing crisis, evictions, families sleeping in cars. Like, we see it, we scroll past it, we call it sad, and we move on. The salt path doesn't ask you to fix the system, it asks you to see the people in it. Look at the homeless person and recognize that could be you. That is you. If the wrong investment, the wrong illness, the wrong month pushes you over the edge. Moth and Raynor, they were educated, middle class, financially secure, and the system still swallowed them whole. The book asks how many people need to walk into the wild before we realize they're not choosing adventure, they're choosing survival. If you've ever felt like you're losing everything, tell me in the comments, how did you find your salt path? I'll read all of them. The Salt Path is not a happy book. It's not a sad book. It's a true book, and truth is messier than inspiration. Life doesn't tie up neatly. Moth and Raynor are still walking and still uncertain, still here. This book will make you uncomfortable. It'll make you look at the homeless differently. It'll make you question what you do if you lost everything. If that's not worth reading, I don't know what is. My verdict, I'll give it 4.5 stars. Not for the writing, for the truth. If you like honest, uncomfortable book takes, hit subscribe right now. Comment with a book that forced you to see someone differently. I'll read them all. See you next time. Bye!